let me know when you're good. Good to go.
You guys ready? You guys sure to be blown? You guys ready to be blown away?
Yes, sir.
Well, guys, happy Monday. Thank you, Jesus, for another day of life. We're here. We're rolling. Appreciate your guys' time, as always, coming in here to listen to us as we preview the opponent and what we're going to get going. So, first off, though, for the Saturday's game, man, proud of our team finding a way to win. And November's the compete month, and that's what we talk about with our team. And each week, we know we're going to get a team's best, and we have to earn the right to make sure we play our best every single opportunity, as we know different going down to play San Jose State this weekend. But proud of our guys on finding a way to finish the game. There's a lot of things that we need to continue to learn and grow in all three phases, and mistakes happen, and we got to get them fixed. And that's the exciting part that we have as a coaching staff and players to do. But I'm proud of our team being resilient. There's a lot of good football we did on Saturday, but we made some mistakes, and we didn't execute in situations that maybe prior we had. But hats off to Nevada. We knew we were going to get their best. They came out and played hard. But I'm very proud of our team finding a way to win the game and continue to stay in the fight. And there's so many different plays in that game that some go our way, some don't, and that's football. And we got to continue as coaches to pinpoint ways from practice to prep to grow these three phases. Not something out there that's, we got to figure this out. Like, we know we can look at the film and know the issues we got to clean up. And I'm excited to do so. But so proud of our team. I really do believe in years past we probably don't find a way to win that game. That's a testament to our players. Stay in the fight. There was no frustration with our guys outside of maybe the initial play itself. Like, they stayed together, they stayed in the fight, and they found a way to win. So proud of our guys, and we know going forward that we have a huge test this Saturday versus San Jose State. I think the world of Coach Niumatalolo and their team, and so we know we need to be prepared and have our best week of practice to go earn the right to play our best Saturday afternoon. So with that, open it up for questions.
You said in the past we probably don't find a way to win that game. What's changed and how do you see that?
Yeah, it's a testament to our players, Mike. I can think of a couple games that you're in that are kind of, things are happening where it's turnovers and things are kind of going back and forth, that I can think of, couple different games that you end up losing, and you're like, man, we had it. What kind of went wrong? We lost it. And I just think it's our group. It's these players. It's nothing I'm doing. Promise you that. It's a testament to these players and what they work and how much they love each other and finding a way to win those games. Now we got to make sure that we continue to learn and grow every single week, because we have to improve from game 9 to game 10. No different than we've tried to do each and every season. I thought our guys had a great week of practice last week. From how they prepped, their process in general. On Saturday, we didn't execute consistently enough, but we did do a lot of good things. We found a way to win the game.
Talked a lot about this season, about the work Maddox has put in, and he even said it after the game. It was one of the worst games he's played here. What have you seen from him, and just how personally he's taken that game? Yeah,
he watched obviously leaving the game. He had his thoughts on the game. Then he's going to watch the film and continue to learn and grow from it. And he's a relentless competitor. And just like anything, there's going to be fundamentals and techniques and reads that he missed that he needs to get fixed, and he will. And there's plenty of examples of him doing it right. And now we just got to continue to make sure it's consistent. But just like anything, that happens. And you look at over the years, not only just college football, but over the years, you have those type of games that they're dirty. There's things going on both sides, that things are things are going kind of weird. It's kind of a funky game, and you find a way to win. And that's a testament to our team finding a way to win those tough, hard-fought games. But even in regards to Maddox, there's a lot of things on film that I'm proud of him. There's a lot of things on film that I know he needs to improve on, and no one's going to want to do it more than Maddox. So proud of him. He's our leader. He's our quarterback, and I know he's going to.
Do you have an update on Tubner and his injury?
Not yet. We're going to get a lot of information today. He worked out this morning, was able to do some stuff, but we're going to get an update today from our doctors of kind of what that looks like for Alex.
So it's kind of significant for a number of reasons. I don't want to speculate too much, but what can you say about who's got to step up for you guys really on defense with him out, and not in terms of just ability, but communication, all that?
Yeah, Jay, make no bones about it. Alexander Tubner is a huge part of our entire team, not just in the production he has defensively, but who he is in regards to the heartbeat of our team. So next man up. And someone's got to carry the flag, and that's going around across college football. Next man up. We're working through it I know our defensive staff is looking at some things, especially as we wait to see kind of what's going on with them. And it's going to be next man up. We're gonna have to find multiple ways to not only in regards to our personnel, making some changes and adjustments, and we're going to make sure we have the best plan of attack ready. But it's also going to be the leadership part of it. And I know, knowing Tubes, he's going to be locked in every single thing he's doing, and he's going to be still a huge leader on our team as we wait to find out what's going on with him.
Plan potentially still be Zion if, communicating we're in the green dot, if that's right, I guess have to go.
Yeah, good question, Jay. I mean, we're still going to look at that defensively and see, who's going to, if Tubes doesn't play, who's going to get the coach-to-player communication, what are some personnels we're going to get into differently. There's a lot of things that we're kind of working through to make sure we put our best guys out there.
San Jose's number 5 in the country in passing, and you got the number 1 receiver. So what makes their passing attack go? And then we've seen some good receivers. How does Nash compare with the guy from Utah State, the guy from UNLV?
Yeah, I mean, first off, Coach Niumatalolo has done a phenomenal job and has done a really good job for a long time. I had the pleasure of meeting him when we played UCLA in the bowl game. He was one of the assistants there last season. Admired him from afar for a lot of years, not only just as a football coach, but how he's handled his business, and was able to pick his brain a little bit at the bowl game. And so I think the world of him. You see what he's done at San Jose State in all 3 phases. I mean, they're playing some really good football right now at 6-3. I mean, I've talked to multiple teams that have played him, and this is a really good football team. We're going to play in all 3 phases. In regards to their offense, I mean, Nick Nash is the top receiver in the country, and he deserves it. Talked to a lot of coaches that have played against him. I mean, he's big time. He's strong. He can go up and make the catches. And I remember when Nick Nash was kind of like their backup, like running quarterback that they use. I mean, he had a double pass for a touchdown, I think, against Nevada, if I'm not mistaken. He's a big-time football player. Makes all the catches, and actually matchup nightmare for defenses. And that's, I see him being one of the heartbeat of their team. They do a great job with attacking defenses. They do a really good job, turning up the pace so that not only the quarterback can see the coverage shell, but also their offensive coordinator can talk to the quarterback and kind of tell them, some thoughts, where to go with the ball, when to run the RPO. They do a really good job with their run schemes, putting you in conflict. And they obviously, they're one of the top passing offenses in the entire country, but they keep you very honest around the football. They got a really good run scheme. I think one of their running backs are, some of the better ones we've seen, especially executing the schemes they need to. And when you have a receiver like Nick Nash, and the rest of them are really good too. I mean, you're not number 5 in the country in passing offense with just one receiver. But Nick Nash, I very, very impressed really getting into the film on him and the kind of plays he makes. And like I said, I believe he's one of the heartbeat of their team. Defensively, I think they lead the nation in interceptions. That's a big time stat. And that, first off, that shows the relentlessness with which this defense plays with. And Coach Odom's done a really good job for a long time. He does a great job rotating the front. They're fresh. They're on the attack. They get into a lot of different either pressures to max drops. They got one of the better corners on the West Coast. They got a couple safeties that can make all the tackles cover. Their linebackers can run sideline to sideline. Been impressed kind of seeing the different front structures they give you as well, from some 3 downs to 4 down. And they've done a really good job. They're one of the better scoring defenses in our conference too. And they are going to be on the attack special teams wise. They've converted multiple fakes. They go into every game to win, and that's a testament to their record right now. And once again, I know they're going to be well coached. We're on the road. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and we're going to get their best. It's a really good football team.
Success.
How is Omarion doing? it seems like he stood up physically on Saturday night, and is this maybe one of those games where you try to replicate what you did against UNLV against White?
Yeah, so, Omarion's playing some good football. There's some inconsistencies a little bit on Saturday, but, you talk about a guy, he had a big-time tackle on third, not just in his coverage ability. He had a big-time tackle on a 3rd and long on the tailback where he flew across from the middle of the field to get the tailback down and hold him up short and cause a punt. Omarion's playing at a high level. And he's going back home. He's from Northern California, so I know he's excited. But even talking to him this morning, he's like, Coach, it's all about San Jose State. I know I'm going to have a bunch of family member there, but it's all about San Jose State. So we're still looking at they move Nick Nash around a lot. he's in the slot. So I'm excited for our safeties and our nickels and our dimes and finding ways to create some different matchups with him.
They've had 2 quarterbacks. I think you got, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but, he kind of has taken over. But what do you see from both of their quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think, both of them can run this offense very efficiently. And I respect offenses that really know who they are, but they will attack you. And that's what I really respect about this offense is they're gonna run their stuff, and they're very efficient with it. They know how to coverage adjust all their routes, so there's always going to be open receivers, or they're going to get themselves in the best look. But they will run not only their run plays, but their pass concepts versus what has attacked our defense. I respect that. And so we got to do a really good job in our cell scout, looking at the things that have hurt us in the run game, obviously, especially the pass game, because we will see those this Saturday.
You mentioned the atmosphere. I mean, it's just kind of a different one with the one side with not really many seats, and then just kind of I think they only had 17,000 at their last home game.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of challenge is that from a standpoint of maybe having to kind of bring your own energy?
Yeah, we played there, BJ, back in 2019. And that's when they completely, I think at that point they just tore out the one side. So very similar setup. And I remember it being an atmosphere there. I don't remember what how many fans were there and what it was. Is it going to be as loud as Bronco Stadium or not? Who knows? But we are on the road. And I know when Boise State comes to town, that place will be packed out. They played really well at home this season. They played really well in general, but really well at home this season. So from a decibel level and those kind of things, we'll see what comes out there. And if it's less than we expect, we'll be ready for crowd noise. It's my job as a head coach to make sure our team's ready for everything. Or if it's a situation where it's not as loud as we think, yeah, absolutely, we got to bring our own energy. It doesn't matter where we play. If it's at home, on the road, we got to be ready to go. And we got to make sure as a staff, our players are ready for all sorts of environment. Might be a little bit of rain on Saturday. We got to be ready for those things. So that's my job as the head coach, BJ, to make sure either way, whatever the atmosphere is, our guys are prepared for both.
You mentioned the turnovers with San Jose. What do they look like? What are the strengths of their defense?
Yeah, I mean, first off, like I said, they're one of the top scoring defenses in our conference. So they do a really good job mixing up the personnel groups they use. They put players in a bunch of different spots. 3 down, 4 down looks. They've got really good pressures, and they got a lot of really good max drop type coverages to put quarterbacks in conflict. They do a really good job reading the quarterback too. I mean, when you lead the nation in interceptions, they're doing something really well. And the games that I've been able to watch today, I mean, they're also violent in regards to getting that ball out from forced fumbles. So it's a relentless defense. That's how they've been. I mean, same defensive quarter. I mean, it's 28-7. Last year we played them here on the Blue. And so, I mean, we know they're going to be relentless. We know they're going to have that chip on their shoulder in all 3 phases, and they're going to be very well coached.
One receiver caught a pass against Nevada. What was that a result of when you watched the tape, Spencer?
It's a good question, Johnny. I think it's just, one of those things that as you look at the game plans and how we're being attacked, how they want to attack a defense, it just comes down to coverages and where the ball goes. Good question.
To get Breezy back and have that running back depth, and you kind of plan to get him more and more involved as the weeks go on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's big time to have Breezy back, and he was able to practice last week, was able to play a little bit in the game, and we need his role to grow. And that's going to be a testament to his practice this week to continue to earn the trust of his coaches and teammates. But very excited to have Breezy back, and he's going to have a huge role.
Was he kind of still on a limited count for this last game?
No, we're very mindful of him with the amount of games he's missed with the injuries he's had from fall camp to now. But no, we didn't go in with the snap count. But we got to make sure his role grows. But that comes by how you practice. And for Breezy to be able to get in there and practice a lot this week and really cut it loose, he'll get more reps in the game.
Ashton might not necessarily lead the country in snap count, Spencer. You look at his last 4 games, he's gone like 36, 32, 34, 36 touches.
Yep.
139 touches in a 4-game span. How uniquely gifted do you have to be to accumulate that total?
Yeah, I mean, Ashton's special, not only in how he plays this game, but with taking that amount of snaps and that amount of shots, which he does, to be able to prepare to do that week in, week out. That's a testament to his process, him in the training room, how he gets his body ready for those. And I've been asked a lot, like, what is that number? Don't go into games saying, hey, this is the most or this is the least. We got to find a way to win every single game we play, and that's every team we play is in the same situation as we are. And so it's always going to be an in-game situation of when we give them the ball, how we get the ball in the perimeter, how we can get the ball to different running backs. But Ashton Jenty's our guy, and he's the warrior of our team, and we got to make sure that he continues to prep and continue to take care of his body because he has taken a bunch of carries the past 4 games.
How different are his touches than maybe other people's touches? I would say, I mean, getting 140 touches almost a lot of those between the tackles
Oh, yeah.
where you got, 2,000 pounds of human beings around you.
Yeah, I mean, every time Ashton touches the ball, there's 11 guys on defense that are trying to take a shot. And a lot of times, at least 9 of them are getting that shot on him. And that's the reality of playing the position. There's some things blocking wise that we got to make sure we continue to get fixed and growing. Our guys are doing a great job, but there's always things we need to learn and grow and improve in. And his carries have been a lot. We've had to find ways to win these football games, and we're going to need to continue to do that. But we got to make sure we continue to get Breezy rolling too. Dylan Riley, Tyler Crow, get our receivers involved, our tight ends. We've got the weapons, and we got to continue to find ways to get them the ball. But I mean, we run the football here. That's our mentality. Yes, we have Ashton Jenty, who's the best player in the country, but we establish a run game here regardless of what a defense is showing us.
Brace is wearing on his left arm. I mean, it looked like that was the hand he had with the fumble. I mean, how is that? How's he doing, I guess? How is that impacting things? Obviously, it's not slowing him down much at all, but I mean, what's he dealing with?
Yeah, BJ, I mean, by 9 games through the season, I mean, he's living in the training room. And that's a testament to who he is, his mentality. He's got the brace on his arm. Did that affect the fumble or not? On film, maybe, but I think it's still something we can get fixed with fundamentals and techniques. And that's how it is when you're running through the tackles. I mean, there's going to be hands and someone punching at the ball in all facets. We can't give the ball up there. And I know Ash is going to work to make sure that doesn't happen again. But I mean, he's been through a lot. I mean, he's an absolute warrior. And that's Ashton, that's Cage Casey, that's Ben Dooley, that's Ahmed. I mean, I can go through our whole team. When you get to this point in the season, yes, the amount of carries and shots that Ashton takes is probably different than anybody else on our team. I'm not crazy to see that different. But, I mean, our team's got to find a way to live in the training room. Our team's beat up. I promise you, San Jose State's team's probably beat up. Every team is in that situation. We've got injuries. Other teams got injuries. It's next man up. Carry the flag. No one's going to feel sorry for any team that maybe has an injury or a team that's banged up. So that's my message to our team is, guys, we got to find a way to make sure our process is the best it's been this week. But going back to your question, BJ, I mean, he's fighting through everything, man. He's a warrior. He's going to live in the training room to play his best football this Saturday.
Dirk's play calling style. Earlier this season, Madsen has I think a negative play, and he comes back with 2 long pass plays. In the past, Dirk Koetter has 4th and 1, and he throws the ball. Saturday at the goal line situation, maybe a traditional run, he throws the ball. Do you like Dirk Koetter kind of catching people off guard? Of course you do, but how would you describe his play calling mentality and his style?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Cutter's on the attack. That's my best way to talk about our offense is we are on the attack. Everything we do is to attack a defense. I know that kind of sounds maybe out there, but that's what we do on 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down, 4th down. It's, yes, plays to catch guys off guard. Yes, but it is we are on the attack. It's not we don't do any gimmick plays. It's not we're just doing this to keep a team honest. No, we are on the attack, and everything is blocked to score a touchdown. All our pass plays are drawn up to be explosive. Like that's how Dirk Koetter and our offense is wired, and you love that. I mean, it is trying to attack what a defense does. Yes, we have DNA plays that we run, Mike, that this is our staple and we want to establish in the run and pass game. And in critical downs, I mean, we're going to be on the attack too. From goal line to 4th down, like we brought up, it's we're going to use our best stuff. Some games, that's run the football. Some games in those critical downs, it might be throwing it. It's really dependent on what our game plan is and what we're seeing from defenses.
Have you ever come in over the top and said, no, I want to do this? Or does he every play?
I haven't. No, I mean, guys, and that's really in all 3 phases. I mean, I'll have conversations with guys, but I empower our coaches. I don't sit in there and watch the amount of film that any one of these coaches does. I don't have the time. I'm around our players. I'm focused on their training, their nutrition, their school, their life, recruiting. That's what this place needs me to do. I'm focused. I'm all chips on the table with our players. Yes, I watch the film. Yes, I'm in it, but not to the extent our coaches do. And so even in, post-series, we'll have conversations about some things maybe I saw and some things, but in critical moments, I trust them. I want to empower them to where they've done the work. They've watched the film. They know our players. They know what the next thing they want to get to. And if that's what they call it. Let's roll. We got 11 guys. They got 11 guys. Let's go execute. And that's my mentality, BJ. I'm not out there to overthink our coaches. I mean, obviously, after a game, we're going to look at where we're inefficient and where we can improve on. And if something comes up after a game, we're going to have those conversations to see, hey, what are we thinking here? This is some thoughts that I have. But it is not me, nor will it ever be me, hopefully, to where I second-guess coaches. I want I trust them. They put the work in there and they're grinding all the time to make sure the plans and the schemes we have in all three phases. We'll have conversations in between series, some things that I think can help. But when it's go time and one side of the ball is out there, it's their time to call their best stuff, and I want to empower them to do that.
So even on a fourth down or something, you just say we're going for it. Give me a play. You
Correct.
Don't say I want to run it here or anything like
Correct.
that.
Yep. Yeah. That's right. And after those, we'll talk. But no, it's just, hey, guys, this is a situation we're going to go for it. And I want Dirk or Chins or Stacy in those situations to make their best call. And if they ask me, I'm going to give them my thoughts. But I empower our coaches. Like I said, I trust them. I know the work they put in. I know the film they watch. I know they know our players. And I want them to call their best stuff.
You know defense, obviously your defensive background really well. You've game planned for star running backs before. And you're seeing how Jenty is game planned against. What have you noticed that maybe is happening week in, week out schematically against Jenty that you didn't see the first couple, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, I think even to start the season, and it's not like all of a sudden defenses have completely changed, like, oh, we got this running back out of nowhere. You know, Georgia Southern Oregon knew very well about Ashton Jenty. But you're getting a defense, without question, you're going to get your defense's best base run schemes, whatever that is. If they're a 4 down, 3 down, whatever that might be, you're going to get their best run schemes. You're also going to get their best run pressures off of that, stop what we do and to find ways to get extra hats to the football, because it is on film. One hat is not always going to do it. And that's really what you're seeing. And it depends on what team. We will see different things that a team has not showed on film yet, that we will see maybe a different front structure, a different pattern to attack some of the stuff we're doing run-wise, Johnny. But you're going to get their best stuff. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but go find the team that has a run game similar to us, and you're going to see some very similar things. Yes, you're going to see a pressure of the week. You're going to see a goal line package or a short yardage package of the week, but you're going to get a team's best stuff. They're trying to find ways to get extra hats. That could be with the post safety. That could be playing zero. That could be playing trap. That could be – you're going to get a team's best stuff. And what you're consistently seeing on film is a defense continually finding ways to change looks, right? So that they're going to continue to go to the well to find out what fits them best.
You mentioned Ken Niamata-Olo. I don't know if you were ever involved in the recruitment of his son or not, or just how much you know him. But just what'd you think of him taking that job, and the how hard it is to win there, and just how you think he's going to do there? Yeah,
like I was not involved in the recruitment of his son, so the first just admired him from afar up until meeting him at the bowl game when he was a part of the UCLA staff, prior to him even taking the San Jose State job. Everything I've listened to a bunch of podcasts, read a lot about him, even prior to this year. I just think very highly of him. And everyone I've ever talked to that's ever worked for him or with him cannot say enough good things about him. And I would assume if I talked to players that played for him, they would say the same. And that's what really pulls at my heartstrings for a coach in this industry that not only can win and be very successful, but that I believe does the right way, that is focused on impacting kids. And from afar, that's what he does. And meeting him at the bowl game, I was blown away by who he was as a person. We talked about family and kind of what matters to him in this profession. And so when he went to San Jose State, obviously San Jose State has had a lot of success. I knew that he was going to continue to not only go there and they'd win this year, but they're going to continue to be on the hunt to win championships there with his leadership. That's just who he is. He's going to always find a way to get the best recruits. He's a great recruiter. He does a great job schematically. Obviously at Navy, they were the triple option, but now, run and shoot and how they're really able to attack defense. They're always going to be on the cutting edge schematically. But I know that those players are going to cut it loose. You just sit back and watch TV copies of his team in all three phases. They play relentless. Special teams, defense, offense. They play hard. I think that's a testament to him, his staff, and I got a lot of respect for him.
Going into Game 10, I don't know if this is the name we've mentioned yet this year. You mentioned at the beginning of this that, some of the times in the years past, you might let that game, might struggle to close it out. The play that stands out to me, Latrell muffs the punt. Cole Miller falls on it. He doesn't fall on that ball. They get the ball in really great field position. It feels like that could be a huge turning point. How big was that play by Cole Miller?
Huge play by Cole Miller jumping on that ball. First off, let's not drop it. But it was a huge play by Cole jumping on the ball and getting. There are multiple plays in that game. Some of them don't go our way. We dropped the opening kickoff of to start the second half. They're going to have the ball on the 5-yard line. Finds a way to get kicked out of bounds. And we go on a 95-yard drive to score a touchdown. There's a lot of those things, and there's some negative ones. I mean, it's 3rd and 17. It's a missed assignment on defense, first down. Like some of those things, there's some consistency and execution that was not there at all times on Saturday. But what I have to keep hitting, and I really don't just say this because I'm talking to the media, I'm so proud of our team staying in the fight. No one blinked. There were some, we got to get some things fixed. Let's not get that twisted. There were some things we had to get fixed on the sideline and be prepared for the next series in all 3 phases. But our guys stayed together. I mean, the amount of guys that if, the defense gave up a touchdown, the offense was right there. Hey, we got you. We got your back, brother. The turnover happens. The 2 turnovers. Defense is right there. Hey, we're going to go put the fire out, man. Come on, we got you guys back. That's what I love to see as a coach. Doesn't mean you're always going to win those games. We got to get those things fixed. But that's a testament to these kids, how much they love each other and the work they've put in.
Back to Ken Niumatalolo, you mentioned kind of the differences of his offensive philosophy at Navy and now at San Jose State. As a coach, how hard is it to kind of change like that and especially do it as seamlessly as he's made it seem to be?
Yeah, and I wasn't a part of, obviously, the situations and the decisions he made on what offense or defense or special teams to go with. But knowing just about him, he hired really good coaches. And I believe in a very same model, like hire really good coaches and let them go put those plans into action. And that's what I believe he did. And I'm sure he's involved in all 3 phases. He's a brilliant football mind, but he hired really good coordinators that can go put these plans into motion, regardless what the schemes are. They're going to be very efficient. They have been.
How about just the continued progress of a guy like Ty Benefield, how he's coming along, and how his play is kind of steadied over the season too?
Yeah, Ty Benefield's playing really well, and especially the position he plays at safety. If there is ever a mistake, everybody knows, right? And that's the reality of playing safety and playing DB is if the D lineman's wrong, no one in the country is going to know. We'll get it fixed. But that's the razor's edge you live on when you play defensive back. Ty Benefield's a big-time football player for us, not only in how he practices, how he preps, how he leads, how he communicates, but we put a lot on him from coverage to run fits to checks. We put a lot on him, and this young man is relentless at how he preps. He consistently at practice leads our GPS loads. We rank, all our guys consistently from fall camp to now is always number 1 on the GPS loads because of how he practices, how relentless he is at practice to get to the football, make the plays. I joke with him. We have those Thursday practices for us is more of a walk-through tempo. I mean, Ty Benefield makes every tackle, right? Because even if he's on the far side, and I'm the guy like, Ty, slow down, man. It's a walkthrough, brother. Like, I want to get your legs back. That's just how he's wired. And as a sophomore, he's going to continue to improve, but he's doing some really good things. I'm proud of him.
Your offensive line's obviously taking some hits throughout the year. I mean, how do you see their play the last couple of games? We're not seeing some of the size holes for Ashton we've seen, but you're still top 5 in terms of sacks and things. I mean, how would you look at how you're trying to hang on here with keep more guys keep going down?
Yeah, BJ. I mean, obviously, especially in the fronts, as you get through the season, as one week turns to the next, and we're coming on game 10, everyone's beat up. And that's no different for our fronts, as I'm sure every front in the country. We've had some of our better players go down, and we've had to battle through and next man up, raise the flag. So I'm really proud of our O-line. Coach Keene does a great job. We're finding ways to rotate guys to make sure we continually find ways to build that depth. And it's next man up mentality. And that's how those guys practice. That's how they operate. I mean, and especially 2 guys that don't get enough credit are Cage Casey and Ben Dooley. I mean, 2 returning starters that practice the way they need to, prep the way they need to, and lead the rest of the entire group. And even with Mason and Roger that are going through injuries and haven't played, I mean, you talk about the leadership that they even bring on the sideline to practice, not able to do anything, but able to get out there and be able to help lead that offense. I mean, I'm really proud of the group, PJ. Yes, there's just like anything, there's some things run game wise, some blocks we missed, some things we didn't do well. We got to get that fixed. But I'm just proud of them staying together. New guys rotate in and continuing to establish a run game, protect Maddox. I'm really proud of what they've done to this point.
You announced Mason was out for the season. Are you still hoping to get Roger back?
Yes. Yep. Hoping to get Roger back.
I know I was asked this a couple of weeks ago, but this really is like a year ago was a massive day in the history of Boise State football, in all honesty. How much more settled, comfortable do you feel in what you're doing and where you're taking this team than what you stepped into 1 year ago today?
Yeah, Jay, I think my wife told me I don't know, it was yesterday or the day before that, like around this time is when, everything went down from me becoming the interim head coach and talking to our team about finishing. It's something obviously I don't think about a lot because in season you're just on to the next. But I mean, and you guys know me, man. I'm so blessed to be a part of this team, Jay. And these players, these coaches, they impact me way more than I impact them. And I'm a firm believer. The reason I'm the head coach here is because Jesus put me here to help build men and through the vehicle of football. People might not like that I say that, but that's really my heart. And I love these kids. And I'm so blessed to be around them every single day to use this game of football to help develop them to be champions in life. And I tell recruits no different here. We will build champions first. And then while doing that, focus on winning championships, not the other way around. I also believe the more you build champions, the more you will win championships too, and also in life. But I know, sorry, I kind of went off there for a second, but I'm so blessed to be a part of this, Jay, and so excited where this team not only is at, but even just so called to this place. Feel like my family's called to be here and just where we're going to continue to push forward in the future here at Boise State football and in the city and in the state. I'm very excited. And obviously we still got a lot of work to do. For me, I'm such a head down process. What is next? I don't spend much time at all to kind of think about where we're at and what happened last year and how it's a year in. But when my wife brought that up to me, it did bring back a lot of emotions, just what's happened and where we're at now and where we need to continue to push forward to, and excited to keep learning and growing.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, guys. Who's all coming to South?
All right, we are good. So we're first.
Matt Lauder, man, consistent. It feels like he's been the most consistent piece of the passing game this year. Run fits too. Just, what you're seeing kind of week in, week out from that position of Matt Lauder.
Well, Matt's Matt's a good all-around player, but there's room. I'll be honest, he's been a little bit up and down. I mean, he's had really good blocking games. He's had really good receiving games. And I think there's more there. I think he can be better in both still. And like all of our guys, they're working to get better every week.
How would you rate the O-line's play the last couple of games?
How would I rate the O-line's play? Well, how would I rate them? Let's see. I don't know. Good enough to be 8-1 or whatever our record is, but
He's had some guys go down with injuries and stuff.
Continuing to have to fill lives.
yeah. I mean, we played without 3 starters at times this year, so the fact that it's hard to have depth at that position, and also we're basically on our 3rd center right now. We're rotating 2 guys at right guard. A week ago, we rotated 2 guys at right tackle. The stalwarts there are 66 and 77. Those 2 guys are playing at a all conference level, a caliber level. 2 really good players, and we have to like everything else. You gotta play to your strengths and hide your weaknesses.
Talked about this year about how Maddox has, put it on himself to just improve every week. And, I'm sure you're not surprised that he came out and, said, this was one of his worst games he's played here. What have you seen in the way he's responded since Saturday's game?
Well, I haven't really seen him that much since Saturday, to be honest with you. We kind of go our separate ways till this afternoon, and we'll connect more here this afternoon. But that doesn't surprise me that he said that. But, Maddox, he did a lot of good things in that game. I mean, some of the things he did running the football, was helped us a lot in the running game. The quarterback run game, the keep, the QB draw, the speed option that we scored on. He's doing some good stuff out there. The passing game, you'd be surprised if you really looked at all those passes. Sure, Mad Dog, he threw that interception. That was on him all the way. And sure, he would own that. But, we had a couple drops. We had a couple missed protections. We had a couple routes run the wrong way. And, the quarterback's the one that's left holding the ball on all those. So we have to be better across the board in the pass game. That starts with me, obviously.
With just one wide receiver getting catches in that game, is that just a product of the defense you're getting, a product of the game itself? Or I'm sure you'd rather have more wide receivers.
Yeah, we need to get our wideouts more involved for sure. But you say only one caught it. How many dropped? Are we counting those two? Or you guys are going to find whatever we did wrong and beat that up. Remember, the object of the game is to get one more point than the other team, and we did fine in that respect.
When it comes to Ashton, I don't care how often you give him the ball. But you go, what is it? It's like 34, 36, 33, and 36 touches. Just for a guy to do that between the tackles so often, what does it take? How unique is that? I'm assuming in the NFL, but heck, that 140 touches in 4 games, it's probably been a long time since something like that happened. But how unique is that?
Yeah, we talked about this many times. Ash averaged 22 touches a game last year. Our goal this year was 25. He's at 28 right now. But again, the object of the game is to win. So, he's had games where he was way under that number, and the last few we've needed him. We've also had some injuries at tailback. We've lost our second and third tailbacks have been gone for most of the season. And God bless the guys who have stepped up to fill in. But it's like other positions. You got to do what you got to do to win the game. And you asked me what I would say about it. I would say that guy's a pretty good football player. That's what I'd say.
Along those lines, how nice was it to get Breezy back? And Spencer was saying he's working his way back in there. Once he gets fully back in there, how much can he help this offense?
Yeah, he can definitely help. And he had his best week of practice, really, to be honest, since fall camp. He just has been banged up. It's nothing he did wrong. No one's mad at a guy for being hurt, but it just at this time of the season he's missed a lot of football, and it takes some time to get back. And he had a couple good plays in the game, and he had a couple not so good in the game, and that's probably to be expected, just based on how much time he's missed.
We talked a little bit about development last week with the quarterback position, and for a kid like Maddox not to get down on himself. How much time or effort do you need to kind of put into that, and is it hard for him to flush things?
No, I don't think it's hard. I think once, the players are off on Sunday, they started back today, lifting. We start back with the players this afternoon. I think it's, once they get back, everybody gets back together today. We have a walkthrough. We have meetings this afternoon, and you start focusing on the next opponent. I know Mad Dog was up there meeting with Coach Cooper this morning, looking at some of the early game plan stuff. I think it's, at this time of year, we have a lot to play for, and we should enjoy playing for it. And, at some point, you got to get over it, the 24-hour rule, and you got to get on to the next. And, nobody should be too disappointed. We won the game.
I asked Spencer about play calling earlier on, and attack. And earlier this season, Maddox has a negative play, and you go deep twice. 4th down and short, you like to throw the ball. Saturday night goal line situation, you like to throw the ball. With this attack mentality, following your career, have you always been a more traditional play caller, attacking play caller? How would you describe your play calling resume?
I don't give that too much thought, Mike. I know that, I would say one thing is going to the NFL humbles you a lot as far as some of the chances you took as a younger man. We did some things at several stops before that might not have been the soundest. And I'm way more into being sound. We know where our protection is. We know how we're protecting everything. And we're not hanging out in protection. Now, that doesn't mean we won't get beat. It doesn't mean we won't give up a sack. But we're going to have our bases covered based on what our opponents do. Just because that's just one thing. If you don't do that in the NFL, you're gonna get killed, or you're gonna get your quarterback killed.
So are we seeing this combination of like sound, but with an attack mentality? Is that fair, and how would you describe that? Or
I don't know that I would put a label on it. We have plays by situation every week, and we don't always get to all those plays. I mean, I like to have a couple of things in my hip pocket. So, by every situation has a analytics, I guess would be a word you could use, an analytics number of how much it comes up in a game. And, we're trying to get off to fast starts, which we've done a pretty good job of that. We did a great job of that the other night. Unfortunately, we hit some speed bumps in the middle, but trying to get off to a good start, but yet you're still trying to save a few things for the second half or for when you really need them.
We asked last week about Maddox in the run game, but I know some of it's not called, whatever, it just happens. But how enticing is it? How good is he as a runner, and how do you look at that possibly being something you can continue to incorporate moving forward?
Yeah, he's doing a good job as a runner. One thing he's going to have to do better is learn when to go out of bounds. He took a couple hits that were he doesn't need to take. Two of them in the low red zone that he wasn't going to get in, and so getting, whether we were on the 2-yard line or the 1-yard line, I mean he could save that heavy lifting for Ashton, but he did a really good job with the zone read stuff. The one that he pulled and ran around the left end for an 18-yard run. We knew they were going to try to chase down our mid zones, and we'd seen that on film, exactly that pressure. And that was Coach Potter schemed that up to have Mad Dog pull it, and he did a really good job. And it's definitely helping us for sure. I mean, and you have to take advantage of it. If you don't use your quarterback a little bit, defenses tee off even more than they already are on our run game.
Did you already know from the first time or whatever that he was a capable runner, or has he impressed you at all with what he's done?
Yeah, he has impressed me. I know he hit over 20, I think it was a week ago on the GPS, which that surprised me. I would have never thought he could run that fast, but he did. He made it over 20 miles an hour, and he'll probably never let us forget it.
You've got a San Jose State team with 16 interceptions, I think second most in the nation. When you see that, do you plan and scheme to maybe throw the ball less, be a little bit less careful, or do you just trust the players to not throw an interception?
Yeah, you got to trust your players to not throw interceptions, and they do a really nice job playing the ball in the air. They are the biggest drop 8 team that we have played, meaning rush 3, drop 8 at a higher rate than other teams. Makes those windows a little bit smaller, and they've got a couple guys that are good at getting after the ball when it's in the air. So that's been something that's kept them in a lot of games. They do a good job of mixing their fronts, mixing their coverages. They got a lot of different varieties of drop 8. They don't always play the same thing. So every week's a new challenge, and this is no exception.
I'm not sure if you know Ken Niumatalolo at all, but just going from just his perspective, a triple option team to being a regular team, what's that like as a coach having to adjust the style like that?
Yeah, no, that's impressive. The only game that I watched them on TV was the Washington State game, which was the double overtime game. That was a really fun game to watch, and I was very impressed with obviously their wide receiver and the way they threw the ball around that night. And I'm now watching all their games on defense, and I didn't realize that they were as diverse as they are on defense. They give you a lot of different groups, and but yeah, hats off to Coach. He, San Jose hasn't typically been a football powerhouse, but if you look at what they've done this year, they've been right there in every game. They could easily be 8-1 or 9-1.
The season's a grind. What's your most enjoyable part of the week? Is it game planning?
12:46 on Monday.
I know that one. No. But what kind of is it for you? And is the answer different from college to the NFL?
And that part's the same. It's just such an up and down because at the beginning of the week, it just seems like a insurmountable to get all the film watched, get it organized, get the game plan put together. Then Tuesdays and Wednesdays, your hard practice days. Thursday and Friday, you polish it up. Saturday, you play the game, you go in the locker room, you take a big exhale, you're happy, you go home, you get a quick night's sleep, and you're right back in here Sunday starting all over again. So just like what we talked about with the players. I mean, you gotta flush it and you gotta move to the next. And when you're winning, that definitely makes it more enjoyable than when you're not. But it's just the longer the season goes, the more the grind, because you gotta watch all the tape.
What would it mean to you? You know, I followed your career, Dirk, like to go to the playoffs, maybe win a game, maybe coach a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, what would that mean to you, man?
Well, I think it just would mean a lot for Boise State football. Number one, I mean, I go back a long way with Boise State. Go back to when I played on the green turf at that time, Highland versus Bora, and there are 5,000 or 6,000 people in Bronco Stadium, and a full house was 19,000. And now to see 37,000 in there, that was so cool the other night with the blackout and with the lights and everything. It was such an awesome look for the stadium. And just to see, Boise State from winning a national championship in 1AA in 1980, winning in Division II to 1AA to Division I to the Fiesta Bowl wins, and now the first year of the college playoff. It's just, this program has been so resilient and high expectations from the fans and the media, and obviously that's permeated itself into the players and the coaches, and it would be very cool, either one of those things. But all we got to do, Spencer does an awesome job of keeping these guys on. It's handle our business this week. That's all we can worry about.
Great. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, we're good. Take it away.
Calm before the storm.
You expect Amarion to be asking you all week to let him shadow Nash wherever he goes. I know that worked with Ricky White. This kid's obviously he could be a serious problem for you guys. What game plan options there?
Yeah, I think Amarion always wants to guard the best guy on the field. So I'm sure that's crossing through his mind. He came up and popped in already this morning. And but yeah, we'll definitely, there's always got to find a way to take care of, who their best personnel is and what they do best. And obviously he's a really good football player.
Statistically, literally the number one receiver in the nation. What's the challenge like, and how, I don't know if exciting is the right word, but how much do you guys embrace, going in that challenge?
Yeah, I think when you're, when you view yourself as a really good defender, as a really good defense, as a really good team, you embrace those challenges. Some weeks it's going to be in the run game. Some weeks it's going to be the quarterback. Some week it's going to be a receiver. This week we got the opportunity to play a really good receiver. I think we looked this morning. I think he's trying to hit the Triple Crown. I think he might be number one in yards, catches, and touchdowns right now. So obviously a very, very good football player. Obviously they've done a really good job scheming with him, and then we've got to do some things to help our guys out, just versus their scheme and versus that personnel.
Say it with Jenty, when teams try to stop him, but for teams to know about him, game plan against him, whatever, and he still averages almost 10 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown every game. I mean, just how good is he?
Ashton?
No.
Oh.
Nick Nash. I'm saying we see it from the other side.
Ashton's really good.
Teams try to stop Jenty, and they still can't. And then, teams are obviously game planning to stop Nash, and they haven't been able to yet when he's averaging 10 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown every game.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, if you limit him under double-digit catches, and that he's still going to get the ball. Like that's very clear. They're going to find a way to get him the football. I don't think you can truly take him out of the game because he plays the slot receiver, because you have some run fit issues. Like it's a little harder than when somebody's like an X to take him out. So he's going to get catches like that. That's going to happen. We just got to limit those. A lot of his yards, even you watch on film, people almost have a bracket on him, and he makes one guy miss. Anytime you've got brackets on somebody, everybody's eyes are looking away from that ball. So you've got to do a really good job of tackling. And even if he catches the ball, to limit those yards after catch, you can't let one of those get explosive just because there's so many eyes everywhere else. So I think that, obviously he's going to have a couple catches. They have to get him touches on the ball, but how can you limit his yards after catch, and how can you limit those catches to a manageable number?
They've been able to get the ball to him with two different quarterbacks now. Just what do you see from both their quarterbacks, and kind of what's the difference in play between them?
Yeah, I think they've both done a really good job, and I think just like I know their offensive coordinator, I've known him for a while. Growing up in the run and shoot, coaching the run and shoot, all those kind of things. You find a way that system. Not to say that these guys are system quarterbacks. They're very good players. They've both done it. But in that system, when the quarterback is on the same page with those receivers, when the timing is really good, when the leverage reads are really good, those quarterbacks, those receivers have a way to find each other. And I think that their coaches have done a really good job of coaching the quarterbacks within the system and giving them a great chance to get some open throws, to get some targets where they need to get them.
Between Ricky White, Jalen Royals, and Aaron Nash, you guys have played, I think, 3 of the top 20 receivers in the nation. Just always playing these top guys. How's it helped you guys develop, or what have you learned about the defense as well?
Yeah, I think that you have to see some of those things early to test yourself. Number one, obviously we went and played Oregon early, and they got a pretty good crew of receivers too. But seeing those things and just understanding, we can play with these guys. This looked like one thing on film, and it's another thing to see it live. The receivers we practice against every day, Latrell Caples, Prince, Austin Bolt, all the other receivers that we have, those guys are giving us a great look. They're as good as the guys we're seeing every day. Have confidence in my technique, have confidence in the scheme, have confidence in the other players that may be my leverage help. So just growing in that, all 3 of those phases, I think, has really helped us.
Where would you rank your pass defense right now, maybe the last couple of games? I mean, obviously the overall stats, I think you're 110th still, but I mean, how do you look at how it's progressing?
Yeah, I think in conference we've done a better job of defending the pass. I would say it's still a work in progress. I still think that it's a great group of guys back there, shuffling the lineup a little bit. But those they've improved every single week. I thought from game one to whatever game we just got done playing, I couldn't even tell you what number that is, but those corners, the safeties, the nickels, the dimes, those guys have really improved every single week, and proud of what those guys have done.
Last week, I was talking about Tubes and how valuable he is and wearing the green dot and his communication. You say that, you could throw more at him than just about anybody else. Try not to speculate too much here, but you've used Zion when Alexander hasn't been available. Is that still the plan? And if so, why does that suit Zion?
Yeah, I don't know if there is a plan right now. Our plan is you have unlimited green dots in practice, so we are going to try a few different things, and depending on how we configure the lineup, not like people are getting benched or anything like that, just how we need to configure this grouping to get the best guys in the best positions is probably going to have a lot to do with it more than just what person's there. We need a guy that can communicate to the most people. So after we figure out exactly by the end of the day what's the best lineup, where are we going to place these people, then we'll probably try it on a couple different guys and see who can communicate the best, not necessarily who can take the information, but who can get it to the others the best out there.
In a way, your options are somewhat limited though, right? Because if you look at snap count and stuff like that, it was Zion, Tubes, and Ty. You got to have your green dot on the field, obviously, right? For most of, if not all, your defensive plays, I would assume. It would be harder to rotate in a game, I would assume, right?
Yeah, but now you're going to have someone, replacing Alexander. Hopefully we'll get that MRI back and he'll be fine. Hopefully he'll be out there. That'd be awesome. But if somebody has to replace him, then that person's probably going to have to play a bulk of the game, and they could potentially wear it as well.
What does he bring most to the table? And like I said, again, not trying to speculate, but if he's not out there, what do you lose most, or what's hardest that you have to replace?
There's a lot, his knowledge, his effort. Seems like if something's about to happen that maybe is not a correct fit, or even against, even against San Diego State, they ran that hook and ladder versus man coverage. That's not what you want to be in. And he came and sucked that thing up all the way from across the field. He covers up a lot of that, not to mention the fact, I can tell him stuff in the green dot, hey, run up quick and tell the D line X. And he'll run up there and he'll tell those guys, that's going to be a lot for some other guys. So the information we give him, whoever's wearing that green dot, will probably be limited compared to what it was to Tubes.
Not to say you're going to change your whole scheme there, but Michael Callahan was telling me last week, you guys do a lot of what you do because he can play safety, linebacker. He's just so versatile. So what challenge, if a guy like that is out, what does that force you to have to do defensively in terms of changing things?
Well, I think, this is a different style of offense anyway. So, you have to do kind of what you need to do each and every week. But, Shea's went in there 2 games and operated really good kind of at that spot. And if that's what we need to do this week with Shea, he'll do a great job. He's a thick, strong kid. He's physical. He can play the safety spot. He can kind of play that overhang linebacker spot as well. But I think he's done a great job when he's went in there for Tubes.
Good. How about Marco? It's been a few weeks since we got to ask about him directly, but his amount he plays, because what you guys do probably is a little bit less than what you expect maybe going into the season. But he always seems to do something good for you guys when he's on the field.
There's no doubt about it. You would be hard pressed to find a clip where Marco is out of position. Hard pressed to find a clip where he is not doing his job. And as we all know in football, when you do your job really well, plays seem to come to you. And I don't think he does anything extraordinary. He does the ordinary things extraordinarily. And because of that, those plays seem to come to him, and it just seems like if there's a fumble around, he gets on top of it. If there's a tackle that needs to be made, he makes that tackle. So, Marco's very, very important to this defense, very important to this team. He's playing special teams right now. And Marco is as good as any player on our defense.
We asked you about it too this season, but just continue with Ty Benefield too. I mean, he's still such a young kid, but his play continues to get more and more steady, it seems.
Yeah, he's a special player. He's got great playing radius, which gives him a lot of range, which is kind of why we moved him to the third level instead of last year as a freshman. He was kind of playing on that second level. But he's got a ton of range, a ton of ability, a ton of speed. He's only going to continue to get better. Like we have Boise State Bronco fans, coaches, teammates have not seen the tip of the iceberg with Ty Benefield yet. He's got a lot of room to grow, which is very scary, very optimistic, but he's an exceptional football player.
Kind of like Tubes' versatility, but like what's his versatility look like? I mean, what do you guys do sometimes? I mean, he's in coverage or like man-to-man time at times a lot for a safety and things like that. So how versatile is he?
He's very versatile, and I think that with depending on what happens here with Tubes, his versatility is going to have to get shown a little bit more in the next upcoming games. We're going to have to do a little bit more with him, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for us. It's a good thing for him. But he's going to have, expanded role is probably not the right term because he plays about every snap anyways, but he's going to have a more versatile role, I think.
They're two outside guys. Ahmed, stat-wise, the last couple of games hasn't been showing up a lot of numbers. On the other side, JVM might be playing his best football ever. Is he feeding off double teams for Ahmed? Is he just playing better? Is Ahmed getting kind of stuck? What's going on with your two outside guys?
No, JVM is playing his best football. There's no doubt about that. Ahmed does a ton of things for us that don't go in the stat sheet. And to be quite honest, he pressured the quarterback. I don't know if missed the sack is the right term because we got the sack, but he kind of, he bounced off the quarterback. Somebody else got it. So he's still pressuring the quarterback. He's still allowing teammates to get sacks. That fly sweep he hit backwards and 3 other people tackled it for loss. So he's doing a lot of things that aren't showing up in the stat sheet. But JVM is playing his best ball. Ahmed's still playing at a very, very high level.
Kind of obvious answers, Eric, but how big were those turnovers, especially the one at the goal line? I mean, a couple weeks ago it was the lack of turnovers that you guys couldn't force, and those are 2 massive ones against Nevada.
Yeah, there were two huge plays in the football game. You could say it about a lot of plays, but if we don't get those, it's gonna be hard for us to win. Really proud of those guys for fighting all the way to the goal line, staying in the fight. Coach D says 3 or nothing all the time, and to come up with nothing is huge down in the red zone. So just really proud of the way those guys fought. Really proud of how many guys we had around the ball when it was on the ground. That was a great thing. We probably had a couple more missed opportunities for turnovers that would have been crucial to get. Obviously, the 4th down miscommunication was not something that we enjoyed. We got to get fixed, but really proud of those 2 turnovers.
I guess the answer is probably no. But is there a magic number in terms of total yards you allow? Like, you just look at the last 3 out of the last 4 games. The opponents have had under 320 total yards. I mean, that would seem pretty good. I know that you could have 500 yards and 10 points. You could have 100 yards and 50 points or whatever. But is there a correlation there where you walk away and say that's a good number?
Yeah, I think so. Like, the game is changing so much, like forever, and it's still on our quote-unquote goal sheet, but the way the game is changing so much, it maybe needs to be revamped or whatever, but 300 yards is kind of – that's where you're like, yeah, you're playing pretty dominant football. Under 300, so we've been just over that. Yards per play, yards per rush is probably a more realistic stat line. But right now we're pretty close to what our quote-unquote goal sheet says on a week-to-week basis.
Bronco Nation News is presented by RowPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.